Just waiting on YouTube. All right, 3, 2. Cue the music.
Bump,
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 ba-da-da,
ba-da-da,
bump,
bump,
bump.
bump.
That was a pretty enthusiastic bendy for what went on last night at Wrigley Field. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. I am Marcus Grant. That is Greg Bergman. And, Greg, the Lakers won.
The Lakers did win. I was actually at the Laker game last night, so I was sitting next to Beto at the broadcast booth, so they have a little TV right there, and I had the Dodger game on there, and it was very, very frustrating. But I was also walking around the court before the game, and I saw Jack Black, who was sitting there, and I really wanted to go up to him, just like, hey. Every time we start our Dodgers show, we do a bendy, and it's because of you. I didn't get around to doing it. I should have done it. I just didn't get around to it.
Should have done it. I feel like he would have reacted positively to that. You know, I mean, knowing Jack Black and the big personality that he is, he probably would have gotten into it. He might have even done a bendy with you. Who knows?
Yeah, which would have been really cool. I really should have done it. It was a mistake to not do it. He was talking to everybody. It didn't matter who walked up to him. He just seems like a really, really good dude.
I mean, look, if you're Jack Black, why wouldn't you be happy? Life's pretty good, man. You're in all these movies where you just get to be yourself and be silly and what have you. And, I feel like it's a pretty good life being Jack Black. Meanwhile, not a good life for the Dodgers last night at Wrigley Field. But before we get into that, want to give a shout out to the folks at LAX. They are transforming the travel experience, saving visitors time, and the people mover train should be open early next year as well. So one more convenience to help you get in and out of the airport and help you with your travel experience. For more information, you can go to flylax.com/transforminglax. All right, let's just get into it. An 11-10 loss for the Dodgers last night in 10 innings at Wrigley Field. And I guess, Greg, let's start your overall feelings on sort of what went down there yesterday.
A lot of things went down there yesterday. The wind was blowing out, so the ball was moving. Dustin May started off the game. Actually, it started off pretty well for the Dodgers. They come out against Shota Yamanaga, who's a very, very good pitcher. They put 3 up immediately on a Tommy Tanks home run, who, by the way, he is so good.
He's crushing right now.
He's crushing baseballs right now. So I love Tommy Tanks, but he gets us started well. And you think, okay, this is great. This is where we want to be. And then Dustin May comes out and fooled absolutely nobody. I think you said something in the chat about him having to wear it. He was going to have to, but he got through it. He got through 5. Yeah. I mean, he did settle down. I'll give him that.
He did settle down for sure. Ruben Flores says in the chat, one word, frustrated. And that was exactly the word that was on my mind with last night's game as well, just because, as you mentioned, they get out 3-0 on Imanaga. That lead doesn't even last for a handful of batters before it's gone. I tell you this, I was sort of watching it. I was doing stuff with my son. It's 3-0. I'm like, hey, all right, this is going to be great. And then by the time I get back to look at it again, it's 3-3. Later it turns into 5-3. But Greg, then we see offense, right? I mean, they get down, it's 7-4, then 7-5. They have the 5-run 7th inning, and you think, okay, this seems good. We turn it over to the bullpen. There's a 3-run lead, with 3 innings left to go. And then to have the bullpen just sort of melt down and lose that lead, I think that just, for me, added to the entire frustration of the evening.
Yeah, that was the biggest frustration, because this is what we've been talking about all season long so far. Can't hit. We're not getting things. And to this one, this wasn't even the top of the order. This was all the way up and down. I mean, it was like mostly the middle of the order minus Michael Conforto when he came in. I just got to get that shot in. Like, Shohei didn't get a hit, but he did score twice. Mookie didn't get a hit. He did score a run. But like it wasn't the top 2. Andy Pages was good. Will Smith obviously was pretty good. Tommy Edman, but it was the bullpen. The bullpen came out, and after it was really just pitching, because Dustin May had his blow up, but got through 5. And then Alex Vesia, he just 2-run home run. Like, you just can't allow those things to happen. And Tanner Scott, who has been pitching really well, except for the last outing. His last outing, it got a little dicey, but he got out of it. That was a problem, and it all stemmed from. Sorry, my mouth isn't working at the moment. Stemmed from the bullpen.
It did, and I saw so many pitches that were just middle, right?
Yeah,
just sliders that just spun and didn't have any real movement to it. Fastballs left over the heart of the plate, and this is a good hitting Cubs lineup. And when you leave pitches like that out over the plate, you're going to get hammered. And you saw that. You saw Kyle Tucker. You mentioned the home run against Vesia. He absolutely crushed that. There was no doubt about it. I mean, part of me was like, maybe it hooks foul, but no chance on that. It's just really, really frustrating. I know we talked yesterday about the bullpen and the fact that they have been used so heavily. I know it's early and we're going to see some of these arms come and go. Michael Kopech is going to be back soon, hopefully. Evan Phillips has just come back. So, there is help that's coming or that has arrived or is coming. But, you just wonder about this in mid-April, having used these arms this much. And now they're going to go with the bullpen game today against Chicago. That, I sent you guys a text last night about John Kruk. They were at the Phillies post-game show, asked John Kruk, is it time to sound the alarm? Is it time to panic? And his response was, I don't know how we make up 3 games with 130 some odd games left to go. And I guess in some respects, like, it's too soon to sound the panic alarm on the Dodger bullpen, Greg, but I do think there are red flags with how much Dave Roberts is leaning on these guys at this point in the season.
Yeah, I think that's a big problem, to be leaning on them this much this season. You're not getting enough length from your starters. I mean, this weekend it was starting to get there. You got 7 from Yoshinobu, you got 6 from Sasaki. So you're thinking, okay, not so bad. Glasnow has his letdown. Then May, he's just had to wear it. Like he through the first inning, he gave up 5 runs, and I think that's all he actually gave up. He might have given up another one.
He did.
I know he gets 2 more.
He gave up the home run later in the game
to make it 7. Yeah, but he was starting, but he needed to give that length, because otherwise today would have been a massive problem. I don't sound an alarm on the bullpen. I think the bullpen is still really good. I think these guys, Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, that have been having some mess ups, and Alex Vesia, who just gave up the 2-run home run. I think they're good pitchers that will get better as the season goes along. It's just fighting through some things right now. And again, Tanner Scott was good. He was pitching really well for a while. He pitched 3 times in 5 games, got 3 saves, and he got a couple other saves. He got the save on Friday and on Sunday. So he was pitching well. He had an off day, just gave it up. Gave up that home run. He had 2. He got through the first 2 batters in like 5 pitches, and then gave it up to Miguel Amaya. It was tough.
Which, again, like, I'm watching that game, he gave up a fly ball to the wall to Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I can live a long, happy life and never see Pete Crow Armstrong again. I'll be fine with that, because he turns into Diet Shohei when he plays the Dodgers, and I don't like it at all. But he hits one to the wall, and I texted you guys like, "Oh, my heart stopped," and your response was, just wait a moment," because I was watching it on streaming, so I was a little bit behind. Right. And I read the text, and the very next pitch, Amaya hits to center field and just gets it into the basket there for the game tying home run. Positives though of this, the Dodgers scored 10 runs. The offense came to life. We saw the 5-run explosion in the 7th inning. More importantly, we saw what we saw, Greg, earlier in the season, where they fell behind and they just kept plugging away. Will Smith gets the home run to get it to 7-5 before the big explosion. It was the offensive output that we have been asking for a while. So while it was disappointing that they ended up not winning the game, it was nice to see this offense finally come to life for the first time in what feels like a good week and a half or so.
It does. And, out of all of that, getting those 10 runs, they only had 9 hits in that game. So they're getting hits, but it's almost like they're not getting the big hit despite scoring those 10 runs. It was a home run from Edman, a home run from Smith, but then it was a ground into a fielder's choice, double from Freddie, sac fly, double from Smith. So like they were just generating runs, which is nice. I think you have moments though when you have runners on third base and Max Muncy strikes out. He did hit one. All like everyone else is hitting the wall. The wind is helping everybody, but Max Muncy because he did just to the wall as well. So yeah, you went to positive. I'll stay in the positive. I like seeing that these guys are getting hits. I started to go towards the negative. I'm trying to move back to the positive.
No, I get it because yesterday was just supremely frustrating to see the offense come back, to see, as you mentioned, Dustin May after that awful first inning, to see him settle in and really battle, because he didn't have his best stuff yesterday. He was struggling with command. He was all over the strike zone. He wasn't getting a lot of swing and miss yesterday. So it was really, I think, in some ways encouraging to see him sort of battle through after a terrible first inning and keep them in the ball game, only to have the bullpen sort of to give it away. So yeah, it is definitely hard to find the positive to think about that. I mean, I guess looking elsewhere at this, I mean, with what we saw from Dustin May, any real concern, or was this just sort of a bad night for him that you feel like?
I mean, I hope it was a bad night. We talked about it yesterday, what we wanted to see from him. It was that he needs to have the swing and miss. He needs to not walk guys. And in that first inning, he had none of it. He had no swing and miss. He was not getting his pitches were kind of all over the place. He wasn't fooling anybody. They were all waiting for the movement. that tends to be an issue for guys like Dustin May who have that gigantic movement. So if guys are sitting on it, and also you got to give it up to the Cubs just a little bit. They are a phenomenal offense. Everybody that comes up can hit. And also, I saw a stat earlier. It was that they're the first team, maybe in the National League or the first team in Major League Baseball. I don't remember in how long, to have 35 home runs and 25 or 25 stolen bases through this many games, or 35 and 35. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
They're not only are they hitting home runs, but they're moving, they're stealing bases. Like, they are a tough offense. The last I looked, and I can look at it real fast, they had the most runs scored in Major League Baseball. And yeah, by a pretty decent margin, actually. They have 145 runs scored and the Yankees have 130. Like, that's the closest one. Nobody else really has that many more over 100. They're a good offense, and they're showing it as they continue to beat the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, look, they will put up runs, and that's sort of the thing that you need to be aware of. I think if there is a weak spot for the Cubs, it was the thing that I thought about last night, is that the bullpen for the Cubs is not particularly good. And so part of me was like, well, if May and the bullpen can keep this sort of close, I think there's an opportunity for the Dodgers to come back and take the lead. And that's exactly what happened before the meltdown over the final few innings there. I'll say this. I don't have a villain yet. And Kirby Yates, ended up getting out of trouble. He makes me nervous, Greg. Just watching Kirby Yates makes me a little bit queasy so far this season.
Ooh, is that who it's going to be? Is it going to be Kirby Yates?
We're going that way, at least for now. I'm not ready to officially make the statement.
Oh, I love that you're thinking about it, though.
I'm not ready to make the statement, but Kirby Yates makes me nervous when he's out there. It always seems like an adventure, even if he gets out of things without runs. It just always seems like there's traffic, or there's a couple of hard hit balls. Hopefully it gets better, but for now, when I see Kirby Yates come out of the bullpen, I tend to hold my breath a little bit.
Okay, I love it. All right, so let's see. How much is there a time limit on choosing him as your villain? Does it need to be a feel thing? Like, how do we get you to here?
Yeah, it's a feel thing. Like, I'm not gonna put I don't know, I'll give him 5 more outings or something like that. I'm not gonna put a number on it. It's just it's when you see it, sort of thing.
Yep, 100%. That's how I got to Michael Conforto. That's how I got to Alex Vesia last year. I'm excited to see where this journey takes you. If you find that guy, I love it very much. And when we talk to Jeff Spiegel on Friday, he's gonna love to hear this as well. I feel like
we will have to let Jeff know that I'm walking the path to maybe having my own guy. You've got Conforto. He's got Tommy Edman. I could end up with a Kirby Yates there somewhere down the line, which, speaking of Tommy Edman, somebody on this show might have talked about maybe moving him to the 9 spot as a way to kind of, turn this lineup over and get things going. But I mean, Greg, who would suggest taking your best power hitter and putting him in the 9 spot? That would just be ridiculous.
there would be just somebody that did do that. I'm not saying who it was, but then somebody else said, I think I like him when in him the power that he's showing to be in the 4 or 5 spot, 5, 6 spot, because to be able to drive, you need somebody to drive in runs because nobody else is doing it, and he did just that. So yeah, I mean, look, I make plenty of wrong decisions and wrong predictions. That's the fun of all this, but Tommy Edman, man, I just every time out there, I know his numbers are not great all the way across the board, but for the most part, you just know you're going to get a good at bat from him every single time. You know that he's going to hustle down the field. He did make one bad play in the outfield. He should have caught that ball. There was a ball that went to, I think it was Pete Crow Armstrong. It might have been somebody else, and it center field, banged off the wall, a couple of runs scored in that first inning. He should have caught that ball, and that was kind of a problem. That was like a few things that happened. Teo dropped a ball that he shouldn't have dropped in right field. So there was maybe that's a silver lining in all this, that there's just a little bit of bad defense, which again has been kind of a theme for this year so far early on.
Yeah, it has been, and I think we're still waiting for them to put together a stretch of 3-4 games where it all feels like it's going right. Everything, either the days they pitch well, they don't hit. When they hit, like last night, the pitching sort of falls apart. The defense kind of comes and goes, and through it all, they have 16 wins. Right, they are just behind the Padres and the Mets for the best record in baseball. It just, from our perspective, because we have such high expectations for this team, we sort of look at it as what's wrong with the Dodgers right now, when in reality, they are right where they need to be, all things considered, for what is a very, very long season. Although I will ask you, at what point do we acknowledge that the Padres could be a problem all year long?
I mean, I think the Padres are always going to be a problem until they blow it all up within the next couple of years because they don't have any money. Like, that's bound to happen, no matter what. That's just bound to happen. But I think they've been a problem for the last 5 years at least. Every single time, they also play really hard against the Dodgers and want to show that they are better than the Dodgers at every aspect. I don't think they stay at this clip that they're staying at. They are now 6-4 in their last 10, just as they're starting to show signs of the weakness in some places, but it's going to happen at some point. They're always going to be a good team as long as they stay healthy. That team can be very, very good. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the Dodgers.
That's kind of, I think, my feeling on it too. But they're playing really, really well. They're hitting the ball. Their pitching has been fantastic so far this year, and they've played some decent teams and they've had some success. Although they went to Houston last weekend and lost 2 out of 3 against the Astros. So we'll see sort of how that goes. I'm looking at the chat, and there is some chatter about Max Muncy and the fact that he continues to struggle. Ruben Flores suggesting that they sort of move on from him the way they did with Justin Turner. That feels extreme, but at some point we do have to have this conversation about, does Max Muncy need a couple of days off? Do they need to maybe platoon him a little bit more? I mean, any suggestions on how to get him going? Because they're going to need his offense.
So, I mean, he started to show signs when he's starting to find the ball a little bit more and show like just missing home runs. That gives me a sign that it's going to start getting over the wall at some point, but he's having bad at bats. I mean, he swings at pitches consistently that he really shouldn't be swinging at. And that's his whole MO, right? Like that he understands the strike zone, that he knows where, when it's a ball, and then he walks a lot. He's starting to not walk very often. He's swinging at pitches that are below his knees consistently. Like he swung at 3 pitches in the exact same spot last night in the extra innings. That's him being just in a bad space, trying to do too much. Maybe it is just trying to give him a couple days off. I just don't know who they put in that spot. Maybe it's Kike, but they have to find something to fix what's going on with him. He started to get better last week, and now it's starting to go back to where he was earlier. He just needs to get his mind right.
Yeah, and I think that is it too. And I feel like, especially with guys on base, guys in scoring position, it does feel like he's just trying to do too much, right?
Yeah.
I think that's when he's pressing the most. These opportunities to break out of the slump, to drive in runs. I mean, he did have a big hit over the weekend in Texas. Had a big double that put in the go-ahead run in one of the wins. No, actually, I think it was the loss. I think it was the walk-off home run game. But he did have a big RBI double that put the Dodgers ahead, and you felt like, all right, well, maybe this is the start of something. But last night, a couple of big chances for him where he just, as you mentioned, just went out of the strike zone, was not patient at all. So, hopefully things start to turn around a little bit, and we'll see how that goes. A little bit of sort of minor league talk. I don't know if you saw Ha-Seong Kim had a big day in a doubleheader recently. I think he had a 3-run home run in one game, a stolen base, I believe, a couple of hits in the second game. I know there's no rush necessarily to get him here to Los Angeles, but it does feel like the drum beats are getting louder for Ha-Seong Kim eventually making his major league debut.
100%. I think the more and more he continues to hit in AAA, and obviously AAA and the major leagues are two totally different things. I just want to be very clear. Just because he's hitting in AAA doesn't mean he hits in the major leagues. That we saw it, we've seen it time and time again. James Outman, Gavin Lux.
James Outman,
yeah. Like these are. It's a totally different game, and usually your best pitchers in the minors are in AA and not in AAA. It started. I think that's maybe started to change a little bit over time, where the best AAA pitchers are or the AAA pitchers. The best pitchers now moved to AAA, but the fact is, the more he continues to hit, and the more he continues to show that power too, because they were talking about changing his swing so he could find more power. The more he shows that, he's going to be up here sooner rather than later. I know Dave said he wanted like a month. Well, that month is coming quicker and quicker and quicker, and it might just be about that time.
Yeah, I mean, because I think if Kim gets here and he does show some sort of offensive, at least competence, right? Like, I don't think they need him to be brilliant at the plate. They just need him to be good enough. If you do that, that does help with a few things, right? That means you can put him at second base. You're not asking as much of, say, Miguel Rojas. You can put Tommy Edman in center field and maybe solidify your outfield with Paez in one corner and Teo in the other corner. Again, it's sort of like looking for solutions to things that aren't necessarily major problems, Greg, but are, just like small, middling things that I think are kind of annoying to the fan base and to the franchise themselves. All right. Today, the season series finale between the Dodgers and the Cubs. We are not even into May yet, and these teams will say goodbye to each other. And I believe, I think I heard last night on the broadcast that the Cubs are pretty much done with like the Dodgers and the Padres and maybe the D-backs. I think there's a good chunk of the NL West that the Cubs will say goodbye to in the next week or so when it's all said and done, which just seems silly to me. Bullpen,
good for them though.
Good for them, absolutely. Bullpen game. At least as of earlier today, I checked. There hasn't been a declared opener. I presume it's been Kasperius. I think.
That would be my guess.
Your thoughts on how this goes?
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was thinking too. That they start Kasperius, try and get him to go 3, and go to Jack Dreyer, get 2, maybe 3 out of that, and then just mix and match throughout there. Or they could just go with an off day tomorrow, just kind of go inning by inning by inning by inning. I assume that's another thing that could possibly happen as well. So it's going to be a very tricky situation for Dave Roberts. How he does it is going to be very, very telling of what's going to go on for the rest of this. But like we've been talking about the entire time, it's a lot of stress on your bullpen, no matter what. It's a lot, and against a good hitting team. And by the way, I was wrong. It was 156 runs that they've scored this season to 132 for the Yankees. They are absolutely on fire. So to put a bullpen game against this team, and imagine if the wind is still blowing out, this could get really bad really, really fast.
Yeah, it's funny because last night in the 10th inning, Noah Davis comes in the ball game, and you texted us like, "Who is Noah Davis?" And I said, "Well, probably a guy who's supposed to pitch tomorrow." The bad news is they had to use him last night. The good news is he only threw 1 pitch, which means he's probably available if they needed him again today. I mean, shout out to Noah Davis for not wasting a whole lot of time and messing around. You know, if you're gonna lose the game, lose it quickly.
If you're gonna blow it, just blow it. Just get it over done. Don't make me stress. You know,
yeah,
I got a Laker game to watch.
Right,
so.
Exactly. One pitch gives up a single to right field, and good night, everybody. Drive home safely. So that was sort of how it goes. Good chance we see Noah Davis again today, and maybe we can get to know him a little bit more because, I don't think Joe Davis had a chance to even introduce him before the game was over, really, yesterday. Right. Speaking of things being over, that's about it for this edition of Blue Review.
It is. That's the end. Thank you, chat.
That is the end. Thank you to the chat for hanging out and participating. Thank you to LAX, as always, for helping us put this together. Also, thanks to Parker Bell, who once again is lurking in the shadows, making sure we get. There he is.
Hey,
there he is.
Look at that.
Wearing his flat brim LA Dodgers hat as well. Stick around, Travis and DeMarco coming up right after this. So stay with us all day long here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel, or just check us out on the Old Timey Radio. If that's more your jam as well. Anyway, for Greg Bergman, I am Marcus Grant. Thanks for hanging out with us on Blue Review. Back with you tomorrow, 8:30 to 8:55 here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. See ya.
See ya.